there's another group that's significant in this election, a big group. We're talking about the tens of millions of Americans who still have not voted, many of them not even planning to vote. And they could make up this election's biggest voting, or in this case, non-voting bloc. NBC's Morgan Radford traveled to McDowell County, West Virginia, the county that had the lowest turnout in the country, at least in the mainland U.S. in 2016. Morgan, talk to us about what you heard from people there about what kept them from voting, because in many instances, there are barriers to that for these folks.
There's barriers to it, Hallie, but there's also a feeling of desperation, a feeling of being forgotten. And that's interestingly because when you're looking at sort of these record early voting turnout numbers we're seeing coming from some states, that's not really necessarily the case in others. And we're still on track in 2020 to have the largest voting bloc be non-voters. And back in 2016, it's a pattern that we saw there, too. For example, 100 million people who were eligible to vote simply chose not to cast their ballot for either candidate. That's about 41% of people who could have voted. And so we're seeing that play out in McDowell County, West Virginia. And as you mentioned, Hallie, this is a county with the lowest voter turnout in the county and in the contiguous United States. So we asked people there why they chose not to vote in 2016 and if 2020 would be any different, especially given that more than 63% of that county chose not to vote in 2016. That's about 11,000 people. Take a listen to what they told us.
I don't have TV. I don't have internet. Well, I have internet, still have nothing to get on the internet with, you know what I mean? So I'm pretty far behind. And I bet you a lot of us around here are because we're poor. I don't know nothing about Joe. I ain't never heard nothing about him at all since I've been here. So Donald Trump, I know a little bit about him because the past couple of years.
I'll probably vote for Donald Trump. He keeps the people to the TV set.
One, Trump is good. Two, Biden, however you pronounce his name, he's good too. But like I say, I can't judge either one of them. It's the same community. It ain't never going to change. Because if it's going to change, none of this would look like this right here.
Here in Welch ain't changed in last 3 or 4 presidents.
So what you're hearing, Hallie, is this sense that people feel left behind. And, you know, honestly speaking, I spend a lot of time in West Virginia. Both of my parents are from West Virginia. And talking to voters there, they feel this lack of hope, right? And for many, voting is an act of hope, but they feel like politics doesn't matter because they don't feel like they matter to politicians. These are people who are spending their time right now trying to buy groceries, put food on the table, make sure their houses aren't foreclosed upon. And they're saying that, you know, it doesn't make much difference in their communities because they haven't seen or felt real change come to them. And that sentiment is sort of what was captured in that 538 poll that came out just this week. When you look at the people who identify as people who have rarely voted or never voted, they tend to be younger, under the age of 35. They tend to have less financial resources. They tend to have less education. They also are more likely to have been people who lost their jobs within the past year. They also say they don't feel like they are represented by either party and thus either of these candidates.
Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Why don't you subscribe? It's really easy. Just click on that button down there. And for more news from MSNBC, click on any of these videos here for the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more videos from MSNBC with our newsletters. Head over to msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up.